One. All right, welcome back to the Shop Class Podcast. We can't outdo last week's episode, but we're having a casual roundtable. And tonight we're joined by a lot of people, actually, and some newcomers. We've got two Harbor Freight Tools for Schools finalists. We got Andrew. How do you say your last name? It's
Saweikis.
Say it?
It's Saweikis.
Saweikis. All right. And we got Matt Bloomquist. He's in here somewhere. All right. And we got Duke and Brant's here from last week. He's bringing the laser show back. We got Timmy. And we got Mark joining us. The T-Stud. You know? We're just going around and we got some people going to give us some updates. But kind of a cool thing is that Andrew's new to the show, and I'm glad he jumped on. Andrew teaches at the BOCES which is a career and technical kind of like a county school in Rockland County, just 20 minutes north of me, right by Nyack and Piermont. Wait, so Andrew, how did you? Oh, okay, I sent the thing, but why'd you pick tonight? Did you get like an update or something?
No, I figured I had a couple minutes, and then I checked to see what was happening, and nothing was really like on. So I figured I'd just check in and see what this was all about.
This is way better than watching TV.
Yeah. Or making signs for business owners.
Yeah, there you go. Do you have an Instagram for your business?
Yeah, it's Swack Metals.
Okay.
SWAKMETALS. And you can see the new railing that I just did. I just posted it. SWAK.
SWAK.
We're still working on his spelling, just so you know.
It's never going to get fixed.
I didn't miss the nightly Google travel, did we? I missed the Google field trip yet?
Oh, we're going. Not yet.
Oh, where he's just wait, Andrew. He's gonna stalk your house and tell you where you live. And he's gonna give you how you commute to your job. He's a psychopath. Just FYI.
Lovely.
His name is Ron.
This is the first time being on here.
Hey, Tim, we are recording.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's called a virtual field trip, where it's really Ron is a sicko.
All right, let me show everybody where your house is. I'm just kidding. All right, so you got this is it right here. So you're making all this stuff. Wow, that's pretty cool.
So I went to an art show this past weekend. One of the kids that I went to high school with and I played lacrosse with, which I forgot about, but he does wood sculptures with like lights routed into them. Yeah, this guy. And he sells those for quite a lot of money.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Wow.
He sells it direct. Like there's that Todd Merrill studio. That's a gallery down in the city, and they sell essentially direct to like, high-end clientele.
Whoa, look at that. And is that up there in Rockland with you?
That's up in Beacon, New York.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, Tim. Get the students doing some wood bending.
This is like Anthony's nose, right?
That's Breakneck.
Oh, Breakneck. Okay.
Yeah, that's across. It's up the road from.
I don't know what's going on there. This is pretty cool. That's interesting. Yeah, maybe
I guess he decided to put on like a little art show, so I figured I'd throw my stuff in there. That was in the basement for like 5 years.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I think future guest right there in Beacon, New York. That's pretty cool. So now, but mostly you do signs, right?
Yeah. Signs, railings. I started doing some like craft shows, that type of stuff. And that got me into doing like those coasters, those Halloween coasters,
Oh,
like
here.
those type of things. Got me into doing some of that type of stuff because I have a 4x8 CNC plasma cutter.
Oh,
And that's how I did the sign, like
mm,
those big marquee lights. So
that is cool.
that's at Boscobel. So that's over in Garrison, New York, where I grew up. And that's
Oh.
looking at West Point is behind it.
Is Garrison, New York, where they have the
Shakespeare Festival?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. What about I think it was called like Index Design or Index Box Design? It's a product design firm. No? Okay.
Maybe. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
All right. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Can we ask, like, what is the gauge? Take us through, like, Love. Like, can you go to Love, Ron, and can you walk us through that?
Not Love New York.
So like making it, essentially, you just on the CAD program. So Torchmate has its own custom whatever AutoCAD, which is not the best, but it does what it needs to do. And you design everything in that, and then you hit go on the CNC plasma. It cuts out all the flat parts where all the lights mount to it. Then I go around and I cut 6-inch wide, 20 gauge sheet metal, which I figured out is easier to do. The Love sign actually has 16 gauge on the flat and 16 gauge on the side because
try and find the website. Sorry.
One of my first ones. And then I ended up learning that the 20 gauge is easier to do some of the more complex bends. So on the newer signs, I've adjusted and switched to that. So then I go around on the back and I tack weld everything together. And I actually overlap certain joints because it actually looks better than trying to come up to like a corner joint. Because you get bleed through essentially when you're MIG welding, 20 gauge, you're getting that full penetration, and then cleaning that out is a nightmare. Because like I'm a perfectionist, so that bothers me when I see that. So afterwards, you go through with the light bulbs and all the electrical and the sockets, and you have to kind of measure everything out and set up the sockets in the correct spacing and put all that together, do the electrical on that.
Do you drill those holes, or those are put in with the CNC?
Those are put in with the CNC so that you could get the spacing done correctly. Because if the spacing's wrong, then it bothers me, and I wouldn't be able to rent it because then it wouldn't get out of my garage.
Oh, you rent this? You don't sell it?
No, so the business plan, and like I tell my students, like you could find something in welding that's not necessarily a bridge or a building, and you could still make money. So if you make this or something similar to this or an idea similar to this, where at the time I had $500 into the sign at the end of the day after making it, this was a while ago when steel was cheap, and you rent it out at your first event for $500, you just paid for, making the sign. And then every event after that, your profit margin is huge because you already paid off the sign, and now you could get custom orders for like that R that you see right there. So like you could rent it out and give them a discount on a 2-foot sign that they could use as like the initial for their last name or something like that. And I figured it's easier. I've had offers for people to buy it, but at the same time, then I lose out on either a venue, or I have to make the sign over again. So it's one of those balancing acts where if you sell it to a venue, that venue is off whoever has a wedding there is off your radar forever. But at the same time, if you could sell it at the right price, it might make sense. So if you could sell it to a venue for like $4,000 or something like that, then it makes sense to sell. But then you don't have like that exclusive, unique light or that part of your wedding that was unique that other people in the area don't necessarily have.
It's pretty good. Never thought about renting out signs. That's pretty cool.
Now, how do you store something like that?
And
do you have a box that you made for it that it travels in, like a crate?
No, they actually all disassemble. So the love sign disassembles, and then the big heart disassembles, and it fits in the back of my Subaru Forester.
Huh.
And then you just go there, you assemble it, and then if it's far away, you charge more for, delivery and pickup. I've had to go out to the Poconos, and I charged them, I think, $1,500 for the rental and for like setup and delivery. And it was on one of those like places that had a golf course and all that stuff. So I just played golf for the day, went out to dinner with my father-in-law at midnight, went and picked it up, drove home, was home around like 3 a.m. But at the end of the day, it was a $1,500 day to drop off something.
Nice.
Pick it up essentially.
Where was that, Shawnee?
So, I'm not sure which one it was out there.
The Poconos. That's my neck of the woods.
Oh, my brother goes drifting out there all the time. So he goes to Pocono Raceway. Yeah.
Nice. What about like when? Yeah, go ahead, Timmy.
I was gonna say, so how do you? So if it comes apart, which is fine, which makes sense, but I mean, how do you prevent it from getting beat up and, so that it always looks new for every wedding? I mean, obviously you want to make sure that this doesn't get damaged in in transporting it. So how do you, I guess, maintain that novel, this is brand new look every time?
Well, it looks brand new in the pictures every time. So the pictures can't pick up the inconsistencies of, it's like it's a 10-footer, if that makes sense. So it's not absolutely perfect every single time. When I decide, and if I get more and more rentals, then what I'll end up doing is probably remaking it and actually getting it painted and or powder coated. So that way I would not necessarily be forced to take better care of it, but it would be more durable and I would take better care of it. But like you said, throwing it in the back of the Forester and taking it back out, scratches do happen. But I do buy a lot of the moving blankets from Harbor Freight.
Oh, those
That
are pretty
helps.
good. I have those too.
So I mean, like just a lot of moving blankets, but constant like cleaning it up is a pain. Like because there's a lot of lights on the first love sign. If I were to make it again, I would remove some of those lights so that it's easier to clean up at the end of the day, because it does get dusty and all that stuff. So like the heart has less lights in it, so it's easier to get a rag around the light bulbs and like take a light bulb out if I need to and throw a new one in. One of the problems that I've had with the heart that you could kind of see next to the at SWAC Metals on the right side, it looks like that light bulb is out. I'm actually using LED light bulbs now because they're plastic and they don't break. So when somebody's drunk and they drop a Corona bottle on my light, it doesn't break the light bulbs. So the problem with that is with the they don't, when you take a picture, either the refresh rate or them not running constant because they don't have a rectifier, it looks like some of the light bulbs aren't on all the time. So if I rent that out to a wedding, then the photographer needs to realize that he needs to set his exposure for slightly longer than what would be normally required for a certain shot or something like that.
Wow, it's very particular.
Yeah.
Now, how'd you get in this market? Like, did you just wake up one night and say, I'm going to make a 10-foot love sign and rent it out?
It was in my head. And then I worked for a small structural company where I was like, could I buy a CNC plasma? Like, I'm not going to step on your toes, but if you ever need to use it, we could use it for some of the stuff that we need to, so we don't have to farm it out. And the boss was like, yeah, sure. But he was also very much like an iron worker, like steel worker. This is what we do. We build buildings, we I-beams, that's it. Like, so when I would bring up like artsy type of stuff, he'd be like, oh, we don't really do that. Like, if you could do it on your free time, but like, you know. And then eventually one of my friends was getting married, and I was like, I have an idea. I've had it in my head for a while. Is it okay if I just like show up with it at your wedding? And she was like, sure. And I checked with the wedding planner, and she was like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, whatever. So I threw the program together, welded it together after I cut it out on the CNC plasma, and then, you know, brought it over there, and everybody loved it. And I was like, great, this is awesome. So I started renting it, because I was like, you know, I don't just have to let my friends use it. I could, you know, make a couple bucks off of it. And that's kind of how it got started. And then my other friend was getting married, and I had the idea with the big heart. And then I'm not sure, probably not on my website, but I have a Mr. and Mrs. sign as well. And I could use that for whatever. And when I was making that, I knew I was getting engaged, but my wife didn't know. But with the Mr. and Mrs., I was able to add a couple letters extra, so it would say marry me. And I actually had it set up in my backyard with a question mark. And I had that for when I proposed.
Nice.
So people can rent the "Marry Me."
I mean,
sign
I don't.
too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really promote that one, but they
Okay.
could if they wanted to.
Oh, there you go.
That's really neat.
So that sign right there is for like a CrossFit gym down in Maryland. So that has the LED lights, and the LED lights go to like the music, because it's for a gym. So when they have it on, the LEDs are going to the music and all that stuff, and that's when you walk into the gym. And you can't see the LEDs, so that's what those like two little rims are. And that's about 4x4, like 4 feet by 4 feet.
Wait, you can really, it looks like it's ripped or something like that, but that's literally from the plasma cutter?
Yeah. Yep, that's the design.
It's pretty detailed.
Yep.
Wow.
So that's the picture of it on the program, the CNC, the CAD program.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
How's it move to the music?
The LEDs on the back, I don't know. They're just more expensive LEDs. They have something that, like a microphone that hears the music, and it flashes to the LEDs to that whatever it hears on the microphone.
That's pretty cool. Now, how do you hook up, like, you have the back piece with all the lights, and then you have the wall. What do you do to connect those? Is it just MIG welded?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I see, like this. Or this is more like a structural art thing.
Yeah, so that was the Rulers of the Flame competition that the students won a couple years back.
Okay.
So that's what the victor, we needed to cut out that outline, and that was really the only rules that we had for it, was you needed to cut out this specific outline, and then the rest of the project could be anything that you wanted. And one of the first projects that they make is making a truck or a car with oxy-fuel welding. It kind of gives them that like creativity, freedom to do what they want after they make a watertight box. And we just expanded on that, because I asked my seniors if they wanted to do it, and they were just like,
dude, is this the robot?
There's the robot that we made. So yeah, we took a mag drill, an old Snap-on hydraulic pump, and some extra old welding machines, and ended up making like a welder out of it. Like
he's a welding robot.
Yep.
Literally.
And then The seniors got really detailed with the actual welding hood, so we made that out of different parts of the different welders that we cut up. And then the annoying part is like when you want something perfect to happen, the knob on the front that controls that welder, actually we had it hooked up to like a battery and like a screen, like a digital output. So when you adjusted the amperage, it would actually adjust a little LED screen that we put in the back of it. So it looked like it actually worked. And then with the front, on the front where the visor is, we also had it saying like vote for Rockland Bosse's on that. So
Well, that's cool.
yeah. So we came in first with that. That was like a high school thing with like the other area schools that went to that trade show. So like I said, we won $1,000. So we ended up buying a Lincoln 330 MPX Ranger, the new Lincoln welder generator. So the reason we went out to bid before and we were able to get the older Lincoln Ranger, and then because we won that competition, we were able to use that extra $1,000 to upgrade the machine and get the newer version of it. And we were able to talk to the Lincoln rep and get him to cover the extra like $200 difference because he
That's
was at the
awesome,
trade
man.
show. So, yep. So
That's great. I mean, it's good that you have like this side business that you figured out a little niche. Plus, you got your teacher, welding teacher, and you're bringing in, people interested and whatnot. So this is great, man. I'm glad you joined the show. We got to, I always want to meet other shop teachers and get some ideas and see what's going on. This is awesome.
I got another question. I mean, and I taught graphics for 13 years at my former school. So I saw that you had a bunch of logos and things like that. How do you deal with the copyrights and things like that? Like I saw the Harley logo. I know Harley is really, really protective of their logo. So how do you deal with that?
You modify little things. You make a miscut here or there.
You change it by 10%, right?
Yeah. 11%, just to make sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of those signs are usually custom ordered, and like I don't really promote those. I just say like, hey, we could cut these out. If you have an idea, I could cut it out for you, but I'm not necessarily like promoting that I could make like a New York Yankees sign for people or something like that. Like it's a trace type of thing, but I'm not really like promoting that I do these type of things. With that
I know
in mind.
Yeah, I know because I spoke to somebody that did something similar to you, and they said that they got in big trouble from Harley because they did something like that, and then they said they're really bad, and Ford is pretty bad too. So a lot of times what people do with the Ford logo is they make the top of the F really long, and they change the cross part of the F, and then then it changes at 10% or 11%, and then then it's okay.
Yeah,
Disney's
that was
another
actually,
one too.
Yeah, Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually for one of the auto teachers that retired, and that was his retirement gift from us. So, yeah, but I know there's a lot of things, and I try and stay away from anything that can get me into trouble in that regard. So usually, what I'll do is I'll try and draw things myself.
Yeah, I just know that when I do things in the wood shop with the kids and we use the laser engraver, I tell them you can't use logos.
Yeah.
And the kids get really annoyed because you tell them you can't do logos, and then you try to explain to them the copyright violations, and they're like, well, they're not going to come after me, Mr. Z. And I'm like, well, yeah, they may not come after you, but they get wind that we do this, and then they come after me, and they come after the school, and now it's a problem. And so it's just easier for me to just say no logos.
Yeah, and then they're just like, all right, you're not going to be in trouble, but you can't use that machine anymore. And then you're just like, well, but then they can't learn to use how you to use that machine. Yeah,
Mhm.
I see the issue. Yeah, but I mean, I haven't had any issues. I've talked. My one friend has, his aunt had 2 kids go through the West Point Military Academy, and apparently somebody over there that makes certain signs retired, and she's gonna try and get me in contact with whoever does the trademarking over there and figure out how I could possibly maybe get in with making some of those signs, or where I can legally do it, where it's not an issue, and whatever I make, I would have to, I don't know how it works, but say give them whatever fee.
You can
But
buy the rights
yeah,
to do the branches of the military logos.
yeah.
You can buy the rights, and I think it's a lifetime.
Hmm.
I think it's a lifetime ownership,
Yeah.
but you just got to buy the rights.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's how that works, if I remember correctly, with the gentleman I was speaking with.
Okay.
So I just know it's a slippery slope, especially being in education,
Yeah.
and even
No, it's
doing it on the side for certain things.
yeah.
I always ask that question because some people don't understand, or they don't know how to deal with that,
Hmm.
or that it was even an issue. Like, yeah, you can't
Yeah.
just do that. So
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Hey, Tim, do you know what one of the most protected brands umbrella is in all of logos?
no, I don't actually.
The NHL.
Huh.
So under the umbrella of the NHL, whether you're making a gumball or a pencil or a puck, right? They're one of the most protected ones out there, and they always say our legal team is powerful, but would you rather have our player come talk to you? Yeah, like it's a great discussion.
Mhm.
I got into some heat in the '90s, and I learned you have to play the right way.
Yeah, and then that's why I ask and I make sure that I talk about it in class when the kids come up with that. They come up with an idea, and you just say, no, you can't do that. And then then they give you a lip as to why can I not do that. And you try to explain to them, like, this is the way it needs to be done. And then I tell the kids, like, listen, if you want to do Yankees logo, Mets logo, Devils logo, whatever logo you want to do, Harley, Ford, Chevy, you can do it. It's just that then I have to destroy it. And that's what I tell them. And then
You're
they're
like
like,
the
well,
copyright police, Timmy.
yeah. Well, yeah. I'm sorry, I have to be like that, but I
Andrew,
don't want to
you
lose
better
my
watch
job.
out, dude.
I don't want to lose my job over that.
All right, so check this out. Andrew, do you ever do anything with the Vegas logos? Or like I went to this is like the graveyard of signs in Vegas. And it was a pretty cool thing. It's right outside of Vegas, and they got like all the stuff that the signs of the iconic. Oh, I took some detail shots. They don't look like they welded. They kind of rivet it and they pie cut it.
Yeah.
But so this is the sign. Some of them got destroyed. These are like sculptures. Wow, this is amazing. Yeah. And pretty cool stuff. Did anybody ever ask you to make like Vegas signs or anything like that?
Not really. Usually, I think what is stopping a lot of people is the cost.
Oh yeah, these are big signs.
Once they realize how much certain things cost and how much things cost when it's handmade.
Oh yeah,
and made by
a person.
I'm not going to say I charge $50. Like I tell people I charge $50 an hour, but realistically, I can't sell a sign if I charge $50 an hour.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's hard because you want to charge $50 an hour, and then you buy the material, you cut the material, you figure it out. Like, all right, I worked on this sign for 6 or 7 hours, and then plus the material, and then you're just like, well, I can't charge that like you could charge them that much, but they're not going to say yes to make it.
Yeah.
So
What
it's like
about
one of those things where like even when I go to some of these like craft fairs, it's like I'm selling stuff, not really making a ton of money on it. More of it's kind of like a marketing to get them for when they want a railing or something like that, or they want something a little bit bigger, or their sister's getting married and they need to use the sign or something like that, where the bigger profit stuff comes back in and helps, kind of average out my profits for the year rather than just, kind of scraping by.
Yeah, it's good. It sounds good.
So
now, what about neon? Do you ever put neon on there?
I bought some of the new LED neon stuff. It seems there's a little bit more of a learning curve, and I need to try and figure out how I can incorporate it with metal, because I see a lot of these acrylic signs, like the clear signs with just the light.
Oh, that's big on Instagram now. They're advertising like crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out a way to differentiate myself. So I actually bought like a few packs of the of that like stuff, and I'm trying to figure out a way. My wife said something about making some sort of like butterfly, because my daughter would like that in her room. She's not 3 yet, but she would like some sort of light like that. And we looked at the LEDs and the colors and the stuff like that. And if I could figure out some way to incorporate metal and those to where they could play off of each other and just make it that much better of a pop than just like that clean line. I mean, it's hard because people are going to want the one that they're promoting everywhere. But
I think, what about the old schoolness to it? Like, you can't do patina on the new signs.
yeah, that's true.
That's what I think was missing from those new signs. I look at them, they're a little bit too plasticky. It would be really cool to have like some patina, and then it's like an old Vegas sign, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I do those like uplit LED signs in class.
Nice.
I do those, with just 1/4-inch acrylic and a wooden base. I'll do that with the kids, and then the kids build like a little circuit, or it's a kit that we buy, and then they just uplight those, and that's pretty cool. But he's thinking bigger scale, which makes sense.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. Hey, let's say hello to Live Free Contracting. He just joined.
I've been texting him, Ron. He's making dinner. He's on British Columbia time, so he's making dinner with the kids right now. But
no problem.
Hang tight. By the way, that Fitzgerald sign, like that you showed, it is iconic. The amount of contours, the different paint schemes. Of course, the CFLs inside of it are horrid. But the neon, look at all that. Like, it would be an exercise to turn around and find, look at how the green is, and then the neon, then the gold, stupid CFLs, whatever. But like, just as an exercise, to quote out that Fitzgerald sign today compared to then, mind-blowing. I mean, that thing is, how many those were probably all at the time set up for 100-watt bulbs, right? So what is this thing covering? Like, I don't know. Like, geez, how do you even qualify what that thing is?
It's like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's got to hang from like 100 stories up or whatever at the hotel or whatever.
Yeah. This is the real
Not 100 stories, maybe 25 probably.
Ed could probably tell us stories about how easily that thing could combust, right?
Yeah.
Like what's the wattage on that thing, right? Holy crap.
Yeah.
I love these photographs too, because you're right. These are all cold connections, right? simple press brakes, cold connections.
Yeah.
None of those angles are even primed. They're like, it's the desert. We don't care.
It's true. What do you think, Andrew? Can you give us a quote for the Fitzgerald sign?
Yeah, probably like 250.
250, 250,000.
Yeah,
That's
that's serious.
And then compare it. And then compare it to, when it was made in 1964, right? Delivered, and the guy took his wife's pillowcase just to shine up the corner, right? Like the badge on that thing. There's got to be a badge somewhere, like a brass plate. The brass plate alone is probably worth $1,400.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was a cool little like a graveyard, and what they did was they kind of put like this area you'd walk through, and they just, it's kind of raw. Like you can touch the stuff. It's just sitting there. Some of it was lit up, some of it wasn't. So you kind of they're making money on the junk of the sign as well as the sign. It's unbelievable, because who's gonna make stuff like this anymore?
It's the nostalgia.
Yeah. All right, Andrew, you're welcome for the consulting. I want to see a Patina sign by next week. Quote the job. We'll hang
The
it
Shop Class Podcast Patina sign.
Oh, dude, right behind here.
There it is.
That would be awesome. Yeah, because I looked at those little plastic signs. I don't want one of those. It's kind of lame.
I've had people that have contacted me, like kids I knew from like high school and like friends of friends. And they're just like, yeah, can I get a quote for like our initials or whatever to be in like at our wedding? And I'll give them a quote. And it's like,
And they'll choke.
it's slightly cheaper than like it's not the friends and family, but it's not like full price. And they're like, oh yeah, I don't think we could afford that. And I'm just like, okay. And then you see pictures of their wedding, and they have the little Michaels things behind them, and you're just like, that looks terrible. Like you bought $10 signs and you put them where you wanted to put like something that would like, I mean, it's supposed to be forever. I know it's not for everybody, but
hey, Andrew, next time a friend or family asks you, turn around and ask them, how long do you plan on being married? Right? Because then the price is based on the curve, right? And just think, when you have your 25th, your 10th, your 5th, your 50th, your 75th, that amortized out, like it's less than the cake.
Yeah, that's true.
And a cake tastes like crap 75 years later. But this thing 75 years later, tell me you throw in the solar panel to power up the baby.
Yeah. That's one of the good things about the LEDs with the heart, though. I had it in the middle of the field for that one picture, and I don't have to run an extension cord to it with all those LEDs. So I just have one of those like rechargeable, like huge battery packs, essentially. It's like this slightly bigger than a regular car battery, but lighter than a car battery. And you just plug it right into that. And I mean, the disadvantage of the LEDs is like every once in a while on a certain picture, you don't have all of them lit up. But at the same time, I don't have to drag a cord across 200 feet of a field at a historic house to light up that stuff. I could just hide the battery pack behind it, plug it in, and you're good to go. But my love sign doesn't have the LEDs in it. It still has the traditional lights. So that thing would suck the battery pack down in about an hour and a half.
And does it always have the do not touch underneath it?
No, that was at the first event. That was at a beer festival.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is this one of the love signs?
Yeah, so when it was in the middle of the field, that heart, it was, and I figured out if anybody does any craft fairs, that you need to sell a lot of stuff that's $40 and under. Otherwise, people won't buy anything. Because people will gladly watch 220s leave their wallet not blink an eye. It's when that third one comes in. Because a lot of my signs, like the hearts and stuff and the stars and the marquee lights and that, those are like anywhere from like 80 to $250. So when people are talking, they love my stuff. They love everything about my whole setup, but they don't want to spend $200 when they just went out for a casual walk on a weekend, or, antiquing in Cold Spring or whatever, and, stuff like that. So
You just have to tell them it's four low payments of 1995 or 6 low payments of 1995. Then they get the Amazon brain, and we're all kosher.
Yeah, so that's where all those coasters came from. I was like, I have all this extra drops from some of the bigger signs that I made, and those are all 1/4 inch thick.
Whoa.
Coasters.
You could kill somebody with that.
So yeah.
It's not a coaster, it's a weapon.
Tim, it sounds like you're liking welding. I'm hearing a change of scenery.
No, I actually like welding. I don't like 3D printers. I just don't know how to weld.
Oh, I got you. I know somebody that teaches it.
I'm thinking of ways I could do all this stuff out of wood.
You should have came to Maker's Camp. You would have learned how to weld.
No, I didn't want COVID.
I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either. You gotta fight it.
No, I wasn't in the
That was a perfect cough, Tim.
Yeah.
Really well.
I built one of those wood signs like that out of wood, out of plywood and stuff, and I think I ended up having to charge like $300 and some for it, and it was out of plywood. And then the people turned around, and because I thought about renting it, but I was like, man, I want to store it, and I just took aluminum, like thin aluminum flashing metal, and that's how I curved around everything, and it turned out looking pretty sweet. And I think the people bought it for like $300 and some or maybe $400, and turned around after it was done and sold it at the end of their wedding for like $150.
Oh,
So it only cost them about $150. So
they probably started renting it.
Yeah, well, so we had a wedding not last summer, the summer before, my wife and I, and we did it in the backyard, did like COVID wedding, and I built a cedar arbor, and she decorated with flowers and stuff. Well, it's all out of cedar. It's beautiful. And real simple, just square, but there's like $300. And shoot, we didn't know what to do with it. We knew some people getting married. They're like, could we borrow it? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And Carmen's like, maybe we should start renting it. I was like, that or let's sell it or give it, because right now it's just sitting in the garage.
Yeah. If you have the space, it makes sense to if you can to rent it. But if you don't have the space, it makes it hard. So in the past,
sell some kids' bikes. I got some space.
Yeah. So if you don't have the space, it makes sense to sell.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, one more piece to the puzzle, and then I want to get an update from Matt's house build. I'm curious about this. Is your Etsy shop?
Yeah, the thing that's never been updated since that moon went on there.
If you go here, you go to the Instagram, you click on the link tree, which is a popular thing, and then it goes here. You got your choices, and then boom.
Yep.
Nice. Now, am I guessing like if someone triggers the order, you probably have one in stock, and then you just make another one and keep it ready?
Yeah, essentially, I'd have to redo that one. The computer that one was on just disappeared. Like the Torchmate CAD, the first version that I had to run on Windows XP, and you need to use a specific dongle to run the software, which is a huge nightmare. That dongle broke, and it was one of those things where it's like you could buy a new dongle, but they don't sell that specific dongle for the software anymore. I don't know why not, but essentially it was like a forced upgrade everything. So $7,000 later, I upgraded my entire CNC plasma table because it's a 4x8 table. So it was either $7,000 there or 15 to 30 on a new table. So
Is that where the phrase dongleberries came from?
And then if you go to the artwork, what a lot of people don't realize with the art, that eyeball that I made that you saw on the copper, is that and the black flower, that was all done with acid, or the patinas.
This one?
Yeah. So the flowers patina. So that's not like paint. That's using the acid and sanding. So the black one is on steel, and then the eyeball is on copper. So that was using acid, and then essentially moving it correctly, and then letting it dry, and then when it dries,
I thought that was a painting.
No, that's all acid. Even the black part of the eye is acid. So
Andrew, when you do that, I did metalwork for a long time. Do you bring it to the full polish state and then bring the patina forward, or you don't?
no, I do not. No.
Hmm.
So
Really?
I did high-end architectural for 4.5 years thereabouts, where we were doing like all those fancy kitchens with like the stainless counters,
Yep.
the range hoods, and people wanted zinc, copper, stainless. They wanted anything they could that would make their house look better than their neighbor's house, essentially. They had the staircases hanging out of the wall with the glass rails and all that stuff. And a lot of the paneling that we did to accent certain things, or around a fireplace or outside, would be the stainless with the blackened patina. So we would have to do all of that finish work, and that's where I was a huge installer, because my problem solving skills are I think very good. So that's why they sent me out to install a lot of stuff, is when we ran into a problem, I could fix it. But I also needed to know how to do pretty much everything in the shop. So I could weld, I could finish, I could put on the patina, I could paint, I could do all that stuff. So I learned how to do all that, and then I figured, why not take it from like the practical standpoint, where they kind of using it as like an artistic touch, or like a paint in a house, and actually use it like a paint, as in like to do art with, rather than just use it as a finish.
Wow. Unexpected. I really thought that was paint.
Yeah.
So wait, I'm naive. So the copper outer part, that's one type of acid, and then this is another. Like how?
So the copper outer part is like just like a semi polished, but not mirror polished, just like cleaned up with like Scotch-Brite, essentially.
Of a copper sheet.
Yeah. So that's
okay,
copper.
I got it. And then this part is like a salt acid thing or something, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then the black is like hardcore.
Yeah, it's a specific acid to turn brass, copper, all that stuff essentially black.
It's like Statue of Liberty. She started out standing for liberty, and she was gold, and then she turned green for the money.
Yeah,
salt spray.
On the same accord, Ron, you could take steel and just polish it up with an angle, and then turn around, and you could put a copper patina on it, and it will look pretty darn close to copper. You just have to lacquer it up so that you don't get the corrosion after, right?
Yep.
Andrew?
Yeah, that's correct.
It's it's phenomenal. These patinas, you have to play with the surface. And I thought that I worked with one of the better folks, and you're really artistic with patinas. It is a hard thing to play with. your surface treating, the fact that you don't bring it to a polish, really, I'm mesmerized, stunned.
That's awesome. What's
It was
the
like that was like our everyday type of thing at our old company, like where I used to work. Like we would like some of the patinas you need to heat up, like you need to heat your metal up. But depending on the different type of patina or where you get it from or what was in it, you didn't have to do that for certain things. So,
is there a particular, just a popular, not particular, a general popular site for this? Where would I go?
The most popular patina out there that I know of is still gunmetal, right? It's creating the steel to a gunmetal, and exactly after you acetone it, some folks will go through the torching and whatnot. I don't know if it's real or not real, but holy crap. For having an open mic night, Andrew, this is a drop the mic night.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, you just popped in. Where were you? I must have sent that email 2 months ago.
yeah, pretty much. I have an almost 3-year-old.
I'm only joking.
I've been at craft fairs just about every weekend.
Wow.
And been writing grants during the week.
It's funny. No, it's good. I'm glad you're here. This is awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get an update on we were doing a roundtable before we hit record, but this is a good timing. You know what? I'm gonna end the recording here because we kind of got your segment, and then we'll hit record again for Matt, and we'll get the update on the house. You know. Okay, cool. All right, Andrew, thanks for joining us. Shop Class Podcast. Nick's here too, by the way. We didn't even say hi to him. He might be frozen or he's sleeping. I'm not sure. All right. Thanks for stopping by.